Hey there, I'm Chris, and today we're going to go over some basic elements of color theory. We'll talk about color harmonies, hue, saturation, and value. I'm not going to cover everything about color theory because that's a very in-depth topic beyond the scope of this video, but after watching it, I hope you'll be able to at least pick good-looking colors easily and understand some basic ways to make your colors more visually appealing. There are some free resources in the description as well. Color harmonies are simply groups of colors that look good together. They're determined by using certain patterns on a color wheel to pick colors that are usually on opposite sides or directly next to each other. Beyond colors that look good together, another function of color harmonies is to trigger an emotional response. But we'll talk more about that in a little bit. The first one we'll go over is the analogous color harmony. Analogous colors are right next to each other. This is a good choice for a more calm palette. There's a little bit of variety, but the colors still feel pretty subdued. This palette is a great choice for a softer, calmer feel, and it pairs very well with pastel colors. Next, we have the monochromatic color harmony. This is another simple one, but this time you won't change the hue much, if at all. For this example, we picked yellow-green. Since we can't change the hue, we can change the color by modifying the saturation and value. This harmony is great for a solemn, lonely mood. Triad harmonies are made up of three colors that are an equal distance from each other on the color wheel. This is where we start getting into the more fun harmonies. Triads are great for vibrant colors from all over the wheel. They use the widest spectrum of the visible range out of what we've seen so far. Complementary harmonies are one of my favorites. Complementary colors are simply colors on the opposite side of the color wheel from each other. In this example, purple and yellow-green. This harmony is great for highly contrasting colors. This harmony demands attention and exudes energy. Good candidates for complementary palettes would be eye-catching advertisements, children's toys, or high-energy manga panels. Next, we have split complementary. This harmony is very similar to the last one, but you can think of it as a slightly toned down version. Instead of picking red and cyan, we pick red and the two colors directly neighboring the polar opposite color. In this case, the polar opposite is cyan, and the closest neighbors are cyan green and blue cyan. This one also feels fairly attention-grabbing and high energy thanks to the contrasting colors. However, it's less obvious because the colors aren't directly contrasting. This adds a bit more visual interest. Square harmonies may look intimidating, but they're just two sets of complementary colors with a perpendicular intersection. The colors it picks feel very full and vibrant. This is a great harmony for scenes full of life and variety. It's a bit harder to work with due to the amount of colors, so I wouldn't recommend trying this one first, but it's very fun to try balancing a square harmony palette in your composition. Next, we have another of my favorites, the compound harmony. Compound is another 4-color harmony. I like this harmony because it's very vibrant and has a lot of contrast, but it's quite a bit trickier to tell what's going on. Two of the colors don't directly contrast each other, but this harmony also makes sure you have an even split of warm and cool colors. If you're on Adobe Color, you won't see this next one listed. This is the tetradic color harmony, or as I sometimes call it, the double split complementary harmony. Tetradic harmonies are very vibrant and eye-catching. If you recall how the square harmony is laid out, this is essentially the same, but we've changed the angles at which the pairs intersect. Lastly, we have the shades harmony, the simplest one. This harmony uses the same hue, like the analogous harmony, and the same saturation. Only the values are changed, producing what are known as shades. Get these memorized, and then you can customize them or create your own. I'd recommend experimenting with things like changing the angles of color pairs. For example, adjust the distance between the two accent colors of a split complementary color harmony. hues are what you may have previously referred to as colors. Now we know that hues, along with values and saturation, are all parts of colors. They include all colors of the visible spectrum from the lower wavelength red to the higher wavelength violet. You can think of saturation as the intensity of a color. When working with traditional mediums, saturation will be determined by the amount of pigment in a color. In digital art, saturation is determined by the intensity of subpixels in your screen. When you lower saturation, the color becomes less intense and becomes more gray. When you raise it, the color becomes more vibrant. Value is simply the amount of light in a color. When working with pigments, such as paint, value can be lowered by mixing black. On digital displays, such as OLED screens, this is the amount of light being emitted. Value is also what adds depth to colors. So that was a lot of information, and if you made it this far, thank you. Let's go ahead and put all this information together so that we can see it in practice. I have a few palettes on the screen now. Some are triads and some are complementary. Take a few minutes to make your own palettes from the harmonies we covered. You can make them more visually interesting by experimenting with different harmonies, tweaking the angles, shifting the hues, and adjusting the saturation and values. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you're able to learn something new. There's so much more to colors than I was able to fit into this video. Maybe I'll make more to cover additional, more in-depth topics. Please remember to like and subscribe if you like this video. Thanks, and bye.